Grand Kingdom! Man, this game and I go way back. I promise one day that I will go back to it and finish it. So, we're about to find out how that went. Oh yeah.
Hey, Eric! Aren't you gonna wear a stupid-looking eye patch like you did last time in Disguise of Arcadia review? Boy, you looked really sexy there. So, aren't you gonna wear one again? Huh?
Let's begin. Grand Kingdom started all the way back in 2011, shortly after company Vanillaware had released Grand Knight's History on the PSP, only in Japan. The director of that game, Tomohiko Deguchi, quit Vanillaware and started his own company now called Monochrome Corporation, precisely to develop a spiritual successor. So Deguchi came up with Grand Kingdom, released near the end of 2015 in Japan and until the summer of 2016 in Europe and North America. So, since Vanillaware was known and still is primarily for its overly beautiful graphics and art design, Deguchi thought artist Chisu Hashi could do something similar. The result was not as ridiculously pretty as that of George Kamitani from Vanillaware, but it turned out to be very detailed and really good looking, with characters slightly deformed to add originality and a little bit of charm. So in that department, the game already looked great, retro but modern at the same time. The music was just as lucky, with some of the guys from Base Escape composing several themes, including most notably Masaharu Iwata before he left Base Escape. I still prefer the Vanillaware soundtracks though, especially since they were all spearheaded by Hitoshi Sakimoto. Not this one unfortunately, but it still did a decent job music-wise. So now that I've given you this short background, how is the game itself? Well, I wrote a small video review a few years ago, so let's take a look at that first. Here you go. This game is also on the PS Vita and it's a hybrid RPG I've recommended several times in the past. My comments, however, were always based on the first 3 to 4 hours I had originally put into it, but the truth is I never went back to it until a few weeks ago. Since it also had left me impressed, I was excited to finally remove this game from my backlog. It's a game where you play as pretty much yourself, in charge of 2 NPC assistants and several generic customizable characters. These will be the ones doing all the fighting. The story, sadly, has been cut down in half. One part takes you on a quest to make a name for yourself as a band of mercenaries in a linear plot that's really cool and interesting. The other one let you fight in a war, and you could choose one nation to support for a short period of time or for the rest of the game. Unfortunately, this part was online only, and the servers were shut down years ago. Bummer. Going back to the offline story mode, you can only take with you 4 customizable characters per map. They each have a class that can't be altered, so it's not a system where you can change jobs. You want to try different classes, you have to pay money to recruit them, but they all start at level 1. And that's where the main problem with this game comes from. Grand Kingdom is a massive grind fest and characters take forever to level up. The game's not hard, thankfully, but the enemy AI slowly starts to get from stupid to intelligent the more you advance, and if you're not at the recommended level for every mission, chances are you'll barely survive. The second problem is that there is no way to save during the maps. I said that this is a hybrid RPG because it mixes strategy and turn-based. The strategy part is to move your small platoon around in this board-looking setting. There are enemies around, traps, chests, and points of interest. If you die, you go back to base, but thankfully you retain your loot and experience. That's one way to grind, or you can just play random maps with no turn limit as well. Yes, in story maps there's a turn limit, but I never came even close to it, so it's definitely not stressful. Turn limit is basically a time limit. They do give you plenty of time to finish every map. Lastly, the combat is played on layers, 3 to be more specific, with your characters facing the enemies on the right side. Everyone has their own turn and you can move around freely if there is not a trap or an obstacle in your way. Melee fighters are best positioned near the enemy, and ranged attackers obviously should stay in the back. Up to you how you strategize your formations and moves during battle. Just remember, the enemy can do the same. And also, it can be very annoying sometimes how even your own party members get in your way or take damage if they're close by. You don't have to kill all enemies in the map to succeed. Once a battle starts, this side-by-side formation will ensue. Your characters will always start at the left side and can move between layers, but every action, including movement, is bound by an action points bar, so you gotta decide where to move first before you do anything. Because of that same bar, your attacks will be limited but can often end up in a guard, same with the enemies. Everybody can break each other's guard using different ways like skills or even regular attacks. There's also the use of traps that the enemy will lay out to cover, but also to hurt you. But as a matter of fact, you can do the same. The key is to try out different classes and see which ones you're more comfortable with for your strategies. Overall, it's still a great game, but with several things that make it frustrating. I didn't finish it because I'm just not in the mood for big grind fests right now. Plus, I hated the fact that you can't save during the maps, so if you die at the boss battle, you have to restart the whole thing again. And as previously mentioned, your characters just take freaking forever to gain a single level. I do recommend it though, but only if you're into huge grind fests and strategy games. Alright, so unfortunately I haven't changed my mind. I think I've lost interest in most grind fests out there, especially the ones that take forever. Others I can still bear if the leveling system is fast. You know, it's not about the difficulty, it's about the time. And Grand Kingdom is a very time-consuming video game. Well, I know for a fact a lot of you love your grind fests, so if that's the case, definitely give it a chance. It's super unique, interesting, and addicting if you manage to appreciate its battle mechanics, which are by far the biggest highlight of the game. Well, everybody, that was my review of Grand Kingdom. Yeah, unfortunately, this game is not for me. Maybe it could have been way back then, but nowadays, I just gave up. But I'm pretty sure you will be able to get into it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.
That's right, Eric, that's right. Thank you for your completely useless review. As if the internet needed another review from a guy who didn't finish the game.